Good morning, everybody. This is Cassie Stumo. I am the marketing specialist here at EAC. We'll start off today with an introduction of EAC, and then PTC's application engineer and technical account specialist, Dmitry Slavkovic, will be presenting to us on how you can create scalable augmented reality content with Vuforia Studio. Everyone gets a recording after the session, pending any technical difficulties. Please feel free to ask questions along the way, and we'll answer them after the presentation. There is also a short survey that will appear once the webinar is over, so please take a minute to answer those. All right, first off, I will tell you a little bit about who we are. At EAC, our mission is to transform the way companies design, manufacture, connect to, and service their products. We're not only a value-added reseller for PTC, but we are the #1 solutions provider for PTC in the country, with experts in 22 areas of product development. We're located all over the U.S. with our headquarters in Burnsville, Minnesota. We offer our customers everything they need for product development, such as Creo CAD software for product design, service lifecycle management software for managing service documentation, and software that helps you manage your product data, such as Windchill, ThingWorx Navigate, and our customizable EAC productivity apps. We implement the Internet of Things and augmented reality into business strategies to jumpstart initiatives around digital transformation and connecting all things in your company. We assist with design and engineering projects like FEA, simulation, reverse engineering, and proof of concepts for our customers. And we offer webinars and PTC certified training courses for continuous learning. We are also a commercial reseller for Formlabs, offering their latest products in 3D printing, or otherwise known as additive manufacturing. The Form 3 is now available with packages starting as low as $34.99. So please keep us in mind. We have solutions to help your organization save time and money throughout the product development process. So thanks for listening to the EAC side of things. I will hand things over to Dmitry so he can get started.
All right, thank you, Cassie. And so today we'll be doing a demonstration on Vuforia Studio. And so quickly, we'll just go through some slides so you guys understand, what the solution is and the capabilities, and then we can go ahead and run through the demonstration. So first, I would like to kind of go through what the Vuforia suite is. And so obviously on the left there, you can see Vuforia Studio. That is what we will be demonstrating today, but I also do want to mention Engine and Chalk as well. And so Engine, this is more for developers, so it is more flexible than Studio. And it's used for building custom apps from the ground up. However, it does require a lot more development work, and you are doing this all from scratch. Versus on the left with Studio, this is more for content creators, and so it's the ability to rapidly create these AR authoring and publishing solutions. And then what you're seeing in the middle here, this is just Vuforia Chalk, and so it's for remote assistance, and it's an easy-to-use mobile AR collaboration tool that's used for real-time remote guidance. But like I said, for this presentation, we will be focusing on Vuforia Studio. So first off, a lot of these AR experiences tend to be one-offs. So you have one particular purpose, and then maybe you'll start to work with them more. But it's always difficult to author with these because you need to have some sort of developing knowledge to be able to code these AR experiences. So it's costly to develop because you need an expert. It can be difficult to implement and maintain after the fact. And then since you have all these different apps you have to keep an eye on, that IT cost starts to grow the more you use it. And so there are 3 areas that we're seeing customers are seeing the most value. And so we have service, market and sell, and operations and manufacturing. And so quickly, we'll just go through some of these. So operations and manufacturing, this could come into play where inefficient instructions lead to slow assembly and maintenance. Disruptions in cost, timing, or productivity can have negative implications. And that total cost of product ownership is high because service and maintenance needs to be carried out by specialists rather than operators. And then obviously time and cost of training and retaining that talent. And so for service, it could be inefficient and or ineffective and time-intensive service procedures that might cause delays, as technicians might be wasting time finding and even understanding that service information, particularly if they are new. And then the product complexity also decreases service efficiency, as even skilled workers may struggle with difficult procedures. And so service leaders might also be tasked with driving more revenue as well as profitability. And for sales and marketing, products you have, they might be too large, heavy, fragile, or maybe costly to bring to a customer visit. And then there's that long sales life cycle between education and buying, or maybe even marketing collateral is just not engaging enough or clear enough. And so PTC's solution to these challenges is the Vuforia Studio suite. So this is a suite of tools and a platform approach to augmented reality. And so the reason you want to go with a platform versus, let's say, Vuforia Engine is because you don't have to create all these standalone one-off apps and redo them every time. So by having a platform, a lot of that heavy lifting and upfront work is done for you. And Studio also allows for drag and drop functionality rather than coding in order to create these AR experiences. So what are the different parts here? So first is Vuforia View. So this is a scanner app that you can have on your phone, tablet, or wearable device in order to deliver these specific AR experiences. So this is free to download. After this call, if you guys do want to play around with maybe some experiences, you can download Vuforia View, and there will be some experiences on there that you can get your hands on. Then we have Vuforia Studio. So this is the actual authoring tool we'll be using to make these experiences come alive. And once we're done authoring in Vuforia Studio, you'll publish it to the experience service, which is just a cloud solution that's available to be pulled down with the Vuforia View app. So really the idea here is you don't have to create an app for every object. And instead of having potentially millions of apps, you have one app that can recognize an object and then serve up an immersive experience wherever it's needed. So quickly, just going through the capabilities, you will have this faster AR authoring with the drag and drop interface. You'll be able to reuse existing 3D models and animated sequences. And then beyond that, you'll also be able to easily incorporate real-time sensor as well as business systems data. And so this is where, maybe you start off with an AR experience servicing a machine. And once you have that up and ready, maybe you'll begin to, stream some IoT data into that experience as well. And so building on that, you can create custom styles as well as IoT state-based formatting for different gauges and labels. And this is all in a secure and certified cloud hosting solution. Now we are flexible, so we do work with on-premise or hybrid environments as well. Now we do allow for offline viewing of these 3D experiences, and there's also a universal link. We call it ThingMark, and so it's essentially PTC's branded QR code, and we call those ThingMarks. So that's one way to pull up an experience. You just simply scan that QR code and your experience comes up. But there are two other ways to pull up those experiences as well. So those are model and spatial targets. And so spatial target would be simply displaying that digital twin into your physical environment in front of you, which you'll be guys able to actually see when I show it on my iPad, while model tracking or model target is when you actually overlay that digital CAD onto an actual object in front of you. And you'll be able to view these experiences on mobile devices as well as digital eyewear. The digital eyewear that currently works with Studio is the Microsoft HoloLens, RealWear, and Vuzix. And then finally here, it is easy to access. So whether you get it from Google, Apple, or Windows app stores, they are all available there. And so at this point, what I'll do is I'll go ahead and begin my demonstration. So what I'll go ahead and do is I'll share my iPad here. And I will open up the Vuforia View app that we just mentioned in our slides. And so these experiences I'm showing you right here, you would, if you do download this after the call, you would be able to play around with these experiences in front of you. Now, the one I will show you is actually a milling machine. So this is what, maybe a finished AR experience might look like. We have kind of our home page, and then from our home page, we can go to different sections. So we have training, manufacturing changeover, service, as well as part identification. And so they all work similarly. So I'll go ahead and select service. And so this is when I mentioned spatial target versus model target. This is an example of spatial target. So I have, you guys can see my digital twin here, and I just have to find a flat surface. And so once I do, I'll go ahead and place it. And so with the spatial target, I have the ability to zoom in, zoom out, I can rotate it, and I can even, if I want to, I can go behind our model and check it out from any angle, and it does stay right in place. Versus a model target would be if I had an actual milling machine in front of me, and then this digital representation that you see here would be overlaid onto that milling machine. And so the only difference there is you obviously wouldn't be able to zoom in and zoom out. And so we'll go ahead now and we'll start this service procedure. So I'll select the hotspot. It will pull up this troubleshooting guide. And so this will just, be able to read through the steps if the motor overheats. And then you'll see on the bottom, we'll have our rewind and our play buttons. So we do have a freeze icon as well. So maybe if you do want to freeze while you're going through one of the steps. So first, you guys will see at the top, we have our textual instructions accompanied by our animations. So first step is to disconnect the mill from power. So we see our power flashing there. But then our next step is to go ahead and insert our screwdriver into the motor housing cap. And so I can make it a little bigger so it's easier to see. We'll go ahead and remove the spring, and then we'll replace that cap. And so that was an example of maybe what a service instruction may look like. So I'll go ahead and press our home page. We'll return to our landing page. And I'll just quickly show you one of these other ones as well. So go ahead and we'll select training. And so same thing, maybe I'll pull it up here so you guys can see, that we can place this on any flat surface. So we'll go ahead and do that. And here we'll see our safety training instructions. So here telling us, we're required to read and understand all the safety topics. And so we'll go ahead and touch these hotspots to begin. So here we can see safety instructions for our machinery. There we go. All right. And so you see we can read through these safety instructions. We'll go ahead and select one, the hotspot. And after you've gone through each stage, you can just go ahead and check it off. And then once we're done, it explained to us that there is the shock hazard, to watch your hands. And then once you're done, you can go ahead and submit your name to say that you were done with that training. So that was, quickly an example of what maybe one of these finished experiences might look like. But what we'll do now is we'll actually go ahead and show you how we'd actually build this out. What does Vuforia Studio look like? So here is our studio homepage. We'll go ahead and start a new project. So here you can see we decide whether we're creating this for a mobile device, such as your phone or an iPad, like I just showed you, or whether we're creating it for 3D eyewear, which would be for a HoloLens, RealWear, or a Vuzix. And so I'll be using the milling machine CAD data that we have. So I'll just go ahead and call this our milling machine service experience. Quickly, we'll go, on the left here through some configurations. So basic theme editor, and then for theme mark association, we are creating a spatial target similar to what I just showed you on my iPad. So for theme mark association, I just selected none. And then under info, we can validate our experience service as well as require authentication. So here, do you want this experience to be available to the general public, or maybe just between your technicians or engineers? But before we start building this out in Studio, typically what we'll do is we'll pull our CAD into Creo Illustrate. And so Creo Illustrate is packaged with Studio, and this is where we actually create those animations. So those service instructions you guys just saw on the iPad, where you saw the screwdriver coming out and removing the cap and inserting a new one, this is where we create those animations. So quickly, I'll go ahead and I'll start a sequence. And so I won't, build out the whole full instructions like you saw on the iPad. I just want to give you an idea of what Creo Illustrate looks like and how it works. And so for step 2 here, I'll go ahead, I'll select our bolt. And then you'll see we do have a bunch of different effects we can choose from. And so I'll select flash like I did in step 1. And then for step 3, we'll go into our SBOM and we'll pull in a screwdriver. So here we can select fade in, and then we can create that animation of unscrewing that bolt. And so once you do have all the instructions that you'd want, and it is important to note, this could be as many steps as you want. You could have a 100-step service, or you could have 5 different services. But once you are done, you can go ahead and preview what you made. So here we can see the power cord flash, and then the screwdriver come in and unscrew the bolt. And so once you have what you are looking for, we can go ahead and publish this. And so this will publish out as a product view zip file. We call these PVZ files. And all you need to know about that is that when I pull this back into Studio now, Studio will recognize that there's an animation associated with that CAD. So I drop my spatial target as well as my model on top of it. And then on the right under properties, we can go and select that add resource. And I'll go ahead and select the file that we just published. And then we can run a CAD optimizer. Simply the CAD optimizer is just lightening up the model if you have something that's pretty large. And then it also does give you a low, medium, and high resolution version of that model. In case your experience starts to get pretty large, you do have flexibility with choosing what resolution of that model you'd like to work with. But how do we actually get these animations to play? So here is our 2D layout. And so I'll quickly show you how we would create, let's say, a rewind and a play button to be able to play through those animations. So first I placed our grid layout. We made 2 columns, and so I'll just quickly center those. And then you'll see we have all these different 2D widgets you can work with. So versus, compared to Engine, if you were doing Engine or using another AR application, you might have to build out these widgets or develop them from scratch. So this is where that drag and drop interface comes in. You have your widget and you simply drop it onto your 2D layout. And so for different images, you can select an image from your computer like I just did, or you can select an image from that drop-down menu that we just showed. And then there's also CSS built into this. So, we can easily style and make our buttons or gauges appear the way we choose to. And then from event, we'll go ahead and drop this clicked event on the model. And this will pull up a few different services. And so obviously we're creating a rewind button. So we'll bind the rewind service to that button. Then we'll go ahead and do the same thing for the play button. I'll go ahead and find the image that I'm looking for. Maybe I'll do some styling again. And then once the buttons appear the way we'd hope, we'll go ahead and we'll do the same thing here for the play button, except instead of selecting the rewind service, obviously here, I'm selecting the play service. And so at this point, if we did decide to publish this experience, obviously we haven't done a lot, I've only been working on it for 5 minutes, but at this point, we would at least be able to play through those 3 steps that I created in Creo Illustrator. Now, the last part of this is I'll just quickly show how you could eventually pull IoT data in. And so that's what these 3D gauges are for. So on our 3D layout, I'll simply drag and drop that 3D gauge onto my interface. And so once that's positioned where I'd like it to, on the far right here, you'll see external data. And so this is where we can go into PTC's IoT platform, ThingWorks. We can find the asset that we're looking for, specifically the milling machine. And once we have that selected, we can select one of the properties associated with that asset. So in this case, we're going to add the temperature property, and then it's as simple as dragging and dropping that temperature property onto the gauge or the text box of the gauge. And so we'll go ahead and preview what we made. So to make it a little easier to see, I'll select the iPad view and we'll show what we made. So here quickly, highlighting the power cord, the bolt, and then finally for the last step here, our screwdriver comes in and unscrews the bolt. And so to finish this, finish off the demonstration today, I just quickly want to, make sure you guys do understand the value that Studio offers. So as you guys saw, it's a drag and drop interface, which allows the rapid creation of content. You'll be able to efficiently leverage your existing 3D CAD geometries, as you saw me work with that milling machine CAD there. We do have a single universal viewer, and that app is native with HoloLens support. And we're also flexible with cloud or on-premise deployment options. And then finally, as you saw with the gauge and the temperature property, you do also have the capability of seamlessly integrating real-time sensor as well as business systems data into these AR experiences.